Michael Jordan wasn't all that good of a defender. Facts or cap?
That's a fact.
Oh, Lord.
That's a fucking fact.
And what leads you to believe this?
Crazy.
I just feel like his dominance on the offensive end just took over anything he did on the court. If it came to defense, you know, like guys like you said, Kenyon Martin, you know, Rasheed Wallace, and all these guys who really are defensive players, like, you know, I'm gonna take advice from them before I take advice from Mike when it comes to the defense end. But that doesn't mean he didn't play defense or anything like that. I just feel like, you know, the first person I'm going to about defense is probably like Gary Payton or, you know, guys like that. So I don't consider him like this great defensive player to me. I just think overall he's just dominant.
When we're thinking about Michael Jordan, when there's a key stop to be made, he's making it, right? You know, snapping back on, you know, Karl Malone, right? To get that steal, to go win the game, right? Making the block, right? He was the actual net guy.
Okay.
As an individual guard, Pippen was a better defender on the ball.
Right.
Right? He was a better defender on the ball. Michael Jordan awareness of defense was great. A Michael Jordan wouldn't guard, right? He wouldn't guard a Kawhi Leonard, or he wouldn't guard, let's say, LeBron James if there's a Vando on the court, right? You're going to put him on Vando, and he's
so
just
good at that.
Then he's going to say, all right, Vando only takes 2 shots a game. I'm going to roam. Now you have Michael Jordan roaming during the game, right? That's not what you wanted, right? So he's the one sitting there netting, coming back, snapping back, because his guy's only shooting 2 shots a game. So when he had guys like that, you know, so why you think he makes think about when he made his first all defensive team. It's the year Scottie Pippen comes to the game.
Okay.
Got it.
Now, he wasn't considered a defensive player until Scottie Pippen comes, because now him and Scottie Pippen can do exactly what when he's on the ball, Scottie Pippen, you follow me. Scottie Pippen, when you have the ball, I'm netting everything up, right? So they had a great system. So he's no different than like a Drew Holiday, where I'm the net guy. I'm making sure this guy don't come. What's the name? Patrick Ewing likes to go this way. I'm going to come this way. But if you try to take him off the dribble man to man, right? That's where his exposure was when you had high level guys. Remember in the 80s, you know, you didn't have 3 and D guys. You didn't have the 3 level guys where he has to guard you shooting at 3. Like, you know, for the most part, like let's say John Starks, right? John Starks didn't dribble like that. So when John Starks pump fake, he didn't take them off the. Where's John Starks going, right? Like, think about what moves did they have in it?
Some takes are so wild they don't just spark debate. They shake the very core of basketball history. That's exactly what happened when Brandon Jennings went on Gil's Arena and casually claimed Michael Jordan wasn't that good of a defender. That wasn't just a hot take. It was a direct hit on the foundation of MJ's legacy. Because if there's one thing the game remembers as clearly as his scoring, it's that Jordan was a defensive nightmare. Think about the contradiction here. A guy with 9 all-defensive first-team selections and a Defensive Player of the Year award, an honor that neither Kobe nor LeBron ever captured, being reduced to just a scorer. People forget that before he was the league's most unstoppable offensive force, Jordan was locking down the best players on the planet. Go back to 1988. Jordan didn't just drop 35 a night to win MVP. He also took home the Defensive Player of the Year trophy in the same season. He didn't join elite company. He defined it. How many players in history have been both the most feared scorer and the most feared defender at the same time? Almost none. Jordan stood alone. And it wasn't just about the awards. It was about the fear he brought with him every single night. Ask Clyde Drexler. Ask Dominique Wilkins. Ask Karl Malone. These weren't some random role players. They were certified killers of the 80s and 90s. Yet every time they faced Jordan, they weren't just worried about him lighting them up for 40. They were bracing for the steals, the surprise blocks, the suffocating defense that turned entire offenses cold. Saying Michael Jordan wasn't a good defender is like saying Ali couldn't take a punch or Maradona couldn't pass. Not just wrong, but blasphemous. Jordan wasn't merely a scorer, he was a predator. The kind of player who could strip you of your rhythm, your confidence, and your soul on both ends of the floor. His defensive legacy isn't written in stats alone, it's tattooed in the memories of everyone who ever tried to score on him. Now, let's pull up the receipts. 9-time All-Defensive First Team. 1988 Defensive Player of the Year, an award built for towering big men, not 6 feet 6 inches guards. Yet Jordan flipped history on its head that season, averaging 3.2 steals and 1.6 blocks per game, video game numbers for a guard. And the wildest part, he was doing all that while averaging 35 points a night. For most players, that would be the highlight of a career. For Jordan, it was just another season. Imagine the psychological toll of facing a guy who's torching you for 40 on offense, and then locking you down the moment you try to strike back. That's not just domination, that's humiliation. And with Jordan, it wasn't a one-time thing, it was a nightly routine. Year after year, his name was etched onto the all-defensive first team because everyone in the league knew, against MJ, there was no break, no breathing room, no escape. He read plays before they unfolded, cut off angles that looked open to anyone else, and controlled possessions like a chess master moving pieces. Critics love to say Scottie Pippen was the Bulls' best on-ball defender, and yeah, Pippen was a defensive savant. But that misses the point. Defense isn't just about sticking to your man. It's about momentum, about the stop that kills your spirit. And time after time, that stop came from Michael Jordan. Look at the 1997 Eastern Conference Finals. Tim Hardaway, one of the quickest guards in the league, tried to blow by MJ. Jordan stripped him clean, flipped the game, and changed the series. Or rewind to the 1991 Finals, when Magic Johnson, the 6 feet 9 inches maestro of Showtime, thought he'd expose the Bulls. Jordan didn't hand off the challenge to Pippen. He took it himself and shut Magic down with pure willpower. And let's not forget the 1989 shot over Craig Ello. Everyone remembers the game winner. Few remember the defensive stops Jordan made earlier that night to even make that moment possible. That's the essence of MJ, not just greatness when the spotlight's on, but relentless excellence in every possession that led up to it. These weren't lucky breaks. This was a pattern. This was Jordan's signature. Plenty of players can fill up a scoreboard, but how many can lock you down on defense while doing it, year after year? That's a rare breed. That's Jordan. His defensive moments didn't just pad his resume, they built his myth. Think about it. That legendary steal on Karl Malone in Game 6 of the 1998 Finals. Everyone remembers the shot, but without that steal, there is no shot. No sixth ring. No storybook ending. Go back to 1991. Jordan smothered Magic Johnson, stripping away his rhythm and dismantling the Showtime dynasty in real time. Or rewind to 1988 against the Bad Boys Pistons, 8 steals in one game. 8. Against the toughest, most physical team in basketball, Jordan didn't beat them with flash or highlight dunks. He beat them with defense. Even in Madison Square Garden, under the brightest lights, he made life miserable for Patrick Ewing and John Starks, swatting shots and shutting down passing lanes while casually dropping 40 on the other end. And that famous Iverson crossover everyone loves to replay? Sure, AI got his moment. One move, one bucket. But the Bulls still won, because one clip doesn't erase a career of destruction. That was Jordan's defensive genius, selective devastation. He didn't chase meaningless numbers. He waited, studied, and struck like a viper exactly when it mattered most. One steal, one stop, one block. That's all he needed to change the outcome of entire seasons. That's why Jordan's defense wasn't just good, it was defining. It was the silent dagger that made opponents dread every possession. Now, line him up against the other GOAT candidates and the picture gets even clearer. Kobe Bryant? Absolutely one of the best two-way players ever, with 12 all-defensive nods to prove it. But let's be honest, even Phil Jackson admitted that Kobe sometimes eased off on defense to save his energy for those 40-point explosions. He was clutch, no doubt, but he wasn't the relentless two-way force Jordan was in '88. Kobe followed Jordan's blueprint, and he mastered it better than anyone else. But even he knew MJ was the original. Then there's LeBron James, a defensive freak in his prime, combining size, speed, and power like we've never seen. His chase-down blocks are the stuff of legend. But still, no Defensive Player of the Year award. 6 all-defensive selections to Jordan's 9. And like Kobe, LeBron had to pace himself across 2 decades of basketball. Jordan, he never made those trade dash-offs. In 1988, Jordan set the standard when he said, "I'll be the best scorer alive and the best defender alive at the same time." That's the difference. Kobe had the obsession. LeBron has the gifts. But Jordan had inevitability. You didn't just fear his scoring, you feared that, at any second, he could steal the ball, take the lead, and rip the game straight out of your hands. That's why, when the GOAT debate shifts to defense, Jordan's shadow only stretches wider. Kobe chased that standard. LeBron flashed it in moments. But Jordan lived it, every game, every season, until no one could deny it. Sure, he had help. Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman were defensive juggernauts in their own right. But that doesn't diminish Jordan. It amplifies him. Because even while sharing the floor with two of the greatest defenders in history, Jordan still earned 9 all-defensive first-team selections. That means coaches and players across the league still saw him as the defensive anchor. Pippen was the lock. Rodman was the wall. But Jordan was the key. The closer who finished the job when it mattered most. So let's set the record straight. Michael Jordan wasn't just a scorer. He was the most complete two-way weapon the game has ever seen. A man who could bury you with 35 on one end, then rip the ball from your hands on the other to make sure the dagger stuck. Jordan's defense wasn't an extra side dish. It was half the meal. And without it, there is no GOAT. Now, I'll throw it to you. Is Jordan's defense the most disrespected part of his legacy? Or do you think Kobe or LeBron ever matched that defensive peak? Drop your thoughts below, and let's light up this debate. And if you're rocking with this breakdown, hit that like, subscribe, and join the family, because this GOAT conversation, it's far from over. That's not just defense, that's terror. At the height of the Bulls dynasty, Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman didn't just form an elite defensive trio. They became the greatest defensive trinity the NBA has ever seen.